We live in a digital world filled with students who are ready to learn in a new, more interactive way, telling us that the time is right for a learning model that combines expert teachers with powerful technology. Blended learning offers students an innovative educational experience with online content that empowers students to learn at their own pace and lessons that help them develop the skills they need to be college and career ready. Through blended learning, students learn at least in part through online delivery of content and instruction, with some element of control over time, place, path, and/or pace. The various models of blended learning help schools deliver content and instruction primarily online, so students can work more closely with their classroom teacher offline. Inspired by the educators we work with, here are the 5 keys to a successful transition from a traditional classroom model to a blended learning model.
In order to be successful in any blended learning initiative, the strategic team that's planning that initiative needs to start from a place where they're very clearly clarifying what are the academic expectations and what are the instructional philosophies that we have for our kids. What is the end game that we want to achieve? You have to articulate a vision that talks about academic goals and has to talk about where kids will be in a way to measure where they are now and where they're going to. Because once you have that academic goal set, once you have that vision of instruction, the tools then begin to make sense no matter what they are.
With blended learning, it's very important to make sure that all teachers are on board because without your teachers, even though you have the computer system, I think it's important that we all remember that the real magic in education happens in the teacher's classroom. I would never want to go back to teaching in a traditional classroom because after having had a taste of being able to work with kids in very small groups and help them on an individualized level, and after having all the data that Edgenuity gives us about kids so quickly, it would be frustrating to me to have to go back to a large group and kind of skim the surface and hope that I was teaching them what they needed to know, when now I'm used to having the kind of information that helps me meet them where they are and not waste time by either talking over their head or talking below what they know.
With new tools over the past few years, it just starts to make sense that students have that capability embedded in their regular school day all the day. It's not something special, it's not an event like an online class is an event sometimes. It's just woven into their regular day because it meets them exactly where they are. So what's really interesting about that is that we're not only meeting the needs of students who would not be successful traditionally, but we're also meeting the needs of students who, a whole gamut of students, including students who maybe need to be challenged.
What we found is after the year began and the parents started to realize the increased rigor that was going on with the program, the amount of work that was needed for some of their students, and the kinds of questions that Edgenuity was asking them throughout, they started to get a little concerned. Students were going home and telling their parents one thing that was a little fabricated, but you know, they're kids, so they're going to do that. And the parents were coming in droves. There were 60 to 65 meetings that I had earlier this year with parents that were very concerned at kind of where their students' progress was going, without ever really seeing the building and seeing the program for what it was. So what I would do is ask them to come in and take a tour and just to spend a few minutes with me so I could show them what we're doing.
What we want to do is to provide the resources that are available for students, for teachers, for administration, and allow those folks to innovate in what we've seen out of that is a lot of different solutions, solutions that we wouldn't have thought of as district administrators. And that's been pretty exciting. And the ability to give permission, first of all, to those educators to say, you know, here are some resources, we give you license to do with that to best meet the needs of your students. Well, that's one thing that we think has a lot of power, but watching folks adapt from that has also been very powerful.
As educators, our biggest strength is the ability to understand students and adapt to their needs to help them succeed. By changing the way we teach students today, we can change the impact they will make tomorrow.